Hey y'all, it is June the 4th, 2019. I'd like to thank you for joining me. Real quick, I wanted to shoot a video. Thing is, I already shot a video. So I wanted to go ahead and make it a two-parter. Alright, we're getting back into the swing of things. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty once again, as in reference to Parkland. Alright, that whole Marjorie Stoneman Douglas incident. Before I go ahead and start, I want to just say for everybody out there, if you go to the comment sections of my YouTube channel, they're typically better than the videos on my YouTube channel. I gotta say, everybody involved and who participates are straight up and down professionals. All right, they know how to get down to the nitty gritty. I appreciate y'all, and I do want to invite everybody. In case that there's something regarding Parkland or something like that you want me to cover, maybe I don't know about it. All right, there's so many details that I just don't know about. All right. So go ahead and feel free. You dive into the comment feed yourself and stuff. Let me know what's good. All right. So that being said, today we got a video. We're going to cover two different things because I already shot the first video. I'm going to add the other thing towards the end. The first part of the video, you're looking at it right now. I'm about to go ahead and play it for you. The first part of this video has to do with a deputy, if you'll recall, a deputy Scot Peterson with one T, all right? And, actually it's long overdue, but I just finally got around to it. I just found it the other day, to be honest. That addendum, if you know what I'm talking about. Actually, we're looking at it right now, and we're looking at my sweet face, all right? The addendum that Scot Peterson wanted to add or suggested adding to the MSD Safety Commission report, that ain't gonna happen, all right? Not in a million years, all right? And I think Scot Peterson is smart enough to know that that wasn't never, ever gonna happen, all right? But I think he was just trying to make a point. Here's the thing, I think he proved his point. All right, we're about to dive into it. I think he proved his point well and good. And actually, if you go through the addendum yourself, I think you'll know what it is that I'm talking about, even better than I can say on this here video in a short amount of time. I think Scot Peterson really gets to the heart of the matter. He asks questions, maybe not all the questions that we ask, but some of them. He addresses some concerns. I'm about to dive into it. And then if you stick around, all right, after we do that, we're going to have something even more scintillating, if you can even believe it, all right? As far as in regards to Alexa Midnick, if you know who I'm talking about. All right. And like I said, tips are very welcome, extremely welcome, because, there's so many details to this story that anybody is liable to miss. It's like trying to bail out the ocean. You're not going to get everything. All right. So I appreciate y'all's help. But like I said, at the end, we're going to talk a little bit about Alexa Midnick. You might have thought she fell off the face of the earth, all right? So we're going to talk about that. And I would like to thank Mr. Jacob out there, all right, for giving me this tip. And I probably would have either never found it or I would have found it probably much later. So I appreciate him. And I appreciate all y'all in advance for giving me them tips. That being said, let's go ahead and dive into the first part. It's about Scot Peterson and his addendum, all right? Hey, y'all. It is June the 3rd, 2019. I'd like to thank you for joining me briefly. Let's see if we can keep this as brief as possible. I just wanted to pop in and relate to y'all that I've been catching up. I moved into my own place and I'm getting stuff situated. Stuff is falling in line and I'm getting back to my old ways. as far as researching this here Parkland case, that I'm sure most of y'all are aware of and familiar that I do cover. All right, so I'm getting back into the swing of things. That being said, last night, June the 2nd, 2019, I went ahead and I finally found this addendum. See? Addendum. All right, that was produced by Scot Peterson. Now, if you've been following the channel, if you've been following the situation, you understand that this was produced a while back. Look, right there, April 26, 2019. It was presented to a number of folks. Just to be very brief about it, what it seemed was that this particular report or addendum was in fact falling on deaf ears. All right, people laughed at the idea. People scoffed at it. People were disgusted by the fact that it was even made available. Right, so we were hearing about it, and I thought about it, and I mentioned it. I pretty much submitted that I thought it was going to be very, very significant. That being said, it was real hard for me because I'm not a computer geek or anything. I'm not extremely good with finding things on the internet and stuff. So sometimes people give me stuff. Sometimes I stumble across things. Last night I finally stumbled across, because I had some time, I stumbled across this addendum. I was very curious to find out, just so to let y'all know, for those who haven't seen it, is that it's not extremely long. It's not a very, very long read. I know it's a lot of details in there for those who are unfamiliar, that you might find baffling. You don't really understand what's going on. So it would be kind of complicated in that sense. But like I said, it's not a very long read. It's actually a total of 14 pages here on this PDF. All right, if you want to go through it, trust me. All right, we're not going to go through every detail here, but I can tell you it's worth it. It's worth reading. All right. So with that being said, I want to mention this just very briefly. Out of the entirety, I read this whole thing in its entirety. I personally, from being a detective or investigator on this situation, I personally cannot refute anything what I'm seeing here. Right? I don't know that any of this is inaccurate or contradictory to what anybody else has said and stuff. I really can't call Scot Peterson out for anything. I can't call him out for shenanigans on this or gibberish or anything like that. I think that's very, very interesting. I mean, when you consider that we do have people such as, let's say, a David Hogg, right, who is an actor. When you consider that we have those people and they're making all sort of statements that are just, to put it very kindly, absurd, right, and preposterous, right? To consider, that we have, it's a sheriff, Scotty Israel, all right, he's still lingering like some sort of fart in the room, like, dude, he just won't leave. All right, so when we have Scot Peterson, and he was wildly inaccurate, like since day one. All right, with that sort of stuff in consideration, like I said, I gotta tell you, this addendum, I can't find anything glaringly wrong with it. All right, and to give you an example of some stuff that I found very significant, very interesting, I do want to bring up that if you read through this, you're gonna find that something that we brought up a long time ago, all right, is really being addressed now. All right, it didn't take a genius, it didn't take a professional detective to figure, okay, we got a school shooting hypothetically here, right? There's an SRO, a school resource officer by the name of Scot Peterson, and he's on the scene, right? He shows up, he has a gun. These other people don't have a gun. The staff in Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, they don't have a gun. So hypothetically, even though we're not geniuses, what we figured is, okay, Scot Peterson shows up, he has a gun, he's gonna be trying to stop the other guy with the gun, right? What he would do if he had any sense, any sort of sense, any sense at all in his brains, what he would do is he would assign somebody, who knows, he would assign somebody in a position of authority to go to the camera room. all right, that we know exists, all right, because pretty much schools have this. Go to the camera room, all right, look at the cameras, see the footage going on the cameras. It's all across the campus. I mean, dude, you have all sort of surveillance footage all across the campus. Go to the camera rooms. Find out where the shooter is. Find out who it is. Find out where he is, and relay that message to the person who has a gun. That would be Scot Peterson, Deputy Scot Peterson, formerly. All right, that is what would make sense. In fact, nothing else would make sense. All right. So with that being said, I don't know exactly where it says it in here. I mean, like I said, it's not a long read, but it says it in a couple different areas. That which we deduced, even though we're not geniuses, that did take place, all right? Because guess what? It's common sense, basically, all right? So that did take place according to Scot Peterson. Now, he could be a damn filthy liar, but like I said, I can't call him out on anything, all right? I see nothing glaringly wrong with what he's saying, all right? And what he said is that he sent an assistant principal, Jeff Morford, I believe his first name is Jeff Morford, to the camera room to see the surveillance. And if you're familiar with the whole story, you'll realize that it took 30 some odd minutes for Jeff Morford, right? Remember that name, assistant principal. It took him half an hour to figure out in his head, oh, the surveillance footage, oh, that's from the past. That's from like 30 minutes ago, or I forget. Nobody really even knows. But, oh, this was from the past. We're not even looking at live footage, and so therefore I'm stupid. All right? And, of course, this is kind of information that Jeff Morford would have known instantaneously. Right? So Scot Peterson, he does confirm, yeah, this is what happened. He sent Jeff Morford to the camera room. Jeff Morford pretty much took all day long, his sweet time with it. Jeff Morford is someone you need to talk to. Jeff Morford is our golden boy right now, just to let everybody know. And you probably already do know. Jeff Morford is the person we need to talk to and see if what he says isn't all just shenanigans, all right? But of course, he went into hiding. He's put somewhere else. Don't even talk to him. Don't even ask him no questions or anything like that. All right. I don't know if Scot Peterson has had any communication with Jeff Morford since the incident. All right, but that's the person who you'd want to talk to. Or of course, the thing is, nobody's trying to get down to the bottom of nothing, right? Basically, and there's no murder investigations taking place. All right, so they're not. I don't know. Maybe they hid away Jeff Morford, principal. Maybe they hid him away, and so I haven't heard nothing from him. All right, but that's very significant. All right, like I said in this whole addendum, I don't see nothing that I can call Scot Peterson out on. All right, and that's pretty much where we stand today, in that we know the types of questions that should be asked. We know the types of people who should be asked those questions, and we're seeing it not happen. Right? We're seeing it not happen day after day after day. And meanwhile, all sort of ridiculous or maybe perhaps questionable mass shootings have been taking place. All right, and every time they do, you got a David Hogg hopping his happy ass on stage onto a podium to tell you how wrong y'all are. Having guns, having rights, having protection for yourself. That is wrong. In fact, David Hogg wants to tell you what kind of guns to own before he just snatches up all y'all guns. He ain't trying to have no dialogue. You understand? Scot Peterson's still up under the bus. I don't know who's read this addendum. I would hope the governor has read it, right? I would hope that sheriffs involved in these commissions have read it. All right, but at the same time, they haven't had a mumbling word to say about it. Not a mumbling word, all right? So this kind of information, it is going to be included on the little documentary. I don't know how long it's going to be, but basically this little presentation that I got coming up is going to be part of that. You're going to have a list of all the people who've been removed, reassigned. You're going to have different details and stuff. And of course, we're going to be covering the whole ritual burning sacrifice. I mean, to quote unquote, burning ritual sacrifice that was made in regards to the Temple of Time and stuff like that. That is going to be coming up. And trust me when I tell you that for those people who are really dived into the situation, it's not going to be nothing that you don't already know. All right? Basically, it's just going to be a visual presentation that you can keep hold on to and download and show to other people if you want, of all the absurdity that's going on here. And continues to go on. It is June the 3rd, 2019, and I appreciate y'all. I'll holler at y'all a little bit later. All right, y'all. We're going to go ahead and move on to the second part of this video. And like I said, if you're not familiar with what we're about to go over, I think that you'll find it very, very scintillating. Right here to my left, or my right, I guess, would be Alexa Midnick, you might recall. In fact, you know, this picture over here might seem a little bit more familiar, all right? So just to go ahead and set the stage, I want to remind everybody out there, or introduce to those who are new to this whole situation, that Alexa Midnick, this girl right here, she's probably, out of the 3 or 4 different people describing what seemed to be a second shooter in the situation, right? She's probably the most popular. I mean, people went wild over this video, all right? It's scintillating. It's just, I mean, it's full of all sort of controversy. All right, decline that. All right. It's full of all sort of controversy. All right. In fact, let's go ahead and play it again just so that, you know, everybody gets refreshed.
I actually was in the bathroom at the moment, and I came back to my classroom and I knocked on the door, and the fire alarm went off, and principal came on the speaker and just said, everyone needs to evacuate right now. So that's what we did. As I was going down the stairs, I heard a couple shots fired. Everyone was freaking out, saying that it was a gun. And as we were walking, the whole class together, I actually was speaking to the suspect, Nicholas Cruz. And as I was speaking to him, he seemed very, I don't know what the word I want to say is, but he was trouble in middle school, so I kind of joked to him about it and said, I'm surprised you weren't the one who did it. And he just gave me a huh? So that's really what happened.
You were walking down the hall, he had already fired at that time?
Yes, sir, with him.
Weren't you scared?
In the moment I wasn't, because there was definitely another shooter involved, but...
Oh, you think he was not the only one?
No, definitely not.
Why do you say that?
Because when shots were fired, I saw him after the fact. So, and the shots were coming from the other part of the building. So there definitely had to be 2 shooters involved, I believe.
That's the first I've heard of that. Did you see any other students who were wounded?
No, sir.
All right, you see that there? I want to point out that all these news broadcasts and stuff, people like to make excuses for how incompetent, perhaps retarded they are. All these newscasts, none of them will dare cover something so interesting, so scintillating, so controversial as this. Right? None of them will dare, but every time you have an actor such as David Hogg hopping up behind the podium, they had to cover it. All right, the news has to cover it. All right. So they're just letting you know. I mean, it's clear as day that ratings mean nothing to the news. They don't care if you're interested. All right. And I know this isn't news to anybody out there. Like, people already understand, but I want to drive it home. The news, those news broadcasters ain't looking for ratings. All right. They're looking to take your rights away, probably. Or who knows. All right. They're looking to lie to you, and they do it consistently, and I'm talking about every last one of them. Who cares who I'm talking about? All right. So as far as scintillating news goes, the news ain't trying to give you that. All right, you already figured that out. But with that all being said, all right, I want to draw your attention to something that was given to me. Someone showed me this, and I appreciate everybody out there, all my contributors. All my contributors out there, y'all some dear contributors. You know, y'all really come through in a pinch. All right, I'm about to show you a video that'll make the situation even more worse, if you can believe it. All right, but I want to set the foreground. I want to, we've already established how controversial this is. Alexa Midnick. We've kind of established that she basically has dropped off the face of the earth, all right? Nobody that I know of has ever heard from her again, all right? Unless I'm missing something, Alexa Midnick is nowhere to be found. And she's not going to deny or confirm what she said that day, February 14th, 2018. It's not going to happen. And it makes you wonder certain things. You look at a girl like this from South Florida, and you wonder, where's the Instagram? Where's the Facebook? Where's the social media? You don't have one? You don't have one? Maybe Alexa Midnick went ahead and if she had any to begin with, maybe she went ahead and deleted all of them. I don't know. I don't know where to find her. All right? But what I want to say is, okay, this video that you're about to see, what it's going to establish is not only is Alexa Midnick a very controversial character in this whole situation, but as it turns out, not only is Alexa Midnick besties, or was besties, with a Meadow Pollock, one of the people who's supposedly killed up in Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. Not only was she besties, basically they were sisters. All right, I don't know if they were related at all or anything, but they pretty much started out together. I mean, virtually as little bitty babies. So you're gonna see from this video. All right. I mean, you're gonna, and I censored it a little bit just because I feel comfortable putting children bathing together on my channel. And if you want to find it, I'm not gonna leave a link because honestly, it makes me uncomfortable. The reason is because you and I look at that sort of thing and we don't think very much of it. We think it's cute. It's cute to see little children growing up. However, I don't understand how it gets on the internet, just to be very brief, because, I mean, it strikes me as child pornography, all right? And in fact, if someone was catch me with this on my stuff, they're going to accuse me of having that, all right? So I'd rather censor it. I'm going to censor that out. But the thing is, I want to play the video in its entirety because the video itself really sets a vibe. It really does drive home that these two girls, Alexa Midnick, Meadow Pollock, were basically sisters, okay? So before we play the video, I want to ask you a question. These two girls, basically sisters, all right? How much do you want to bet, or do you think that Alexa Midnick would know that Meadow Pollock was in Building 12 at the particular time of the shooting? How much do you want to bet she would know something like that? Right? Now, as far as whether or not Meadow Pollock actually belonged in that building, I can't say. If somebody could help me out with that, that would be wonderful, because the thing is, it's the freshman building, and Meadow Pollock was absolutely not a freshman. Right? So all sort of questions pop up. But if Meadow Pollock belonged in that building, how much you want to bet Alexa Midnick would know that she was in that building? Right? And so Alexa Midnick, who described that there must have been two shooters because she was talking to the alleged shooter at the time that he was supposed to be shooting up the school, Alexa Midnick would be, if she knew where Meadow Pollock was at the time, she would be worried out of her mind. She wouldn't be all bubbly, you know what I'm saying, and effervescent like she was during the interview, all right? The only explanation for it, the only one that makes sense, is that Alexa Midnick really sincerely, genuinely, in her heart, thought that this was all a big drill and this was fake and staged, right? And certainly she was playing along for the news cameras, but that's the whole point of a fake staged drill. All right? She doesn't know when the drill ends. In fact, none of the kids do. None of them know when it begins. None of them know when it ends. It's all a big ball of confusion, all right? So it's made perfectly clear that Alexa Midnick had no idea that this was actually a real thing. And subsequently, she done fell off the earth, all right? And if anybody can let me know, has she said anything? Has she said a mumbling word since that day, over a year ago? I'd like to know. I think everybody else would like to know on this channel. But until then, let's go ahead and play it. The montage of Alexa Midnick. And by the way, the news, like I said, they don't care about no ratings. All right, they don't care about what's to share something so dramatic as this. The best friend in the world to Meadow Pollock is over here talking to the news, and her story sounds very much like it was two shooters. All right, at least, or either that or Nicholas Cruz has some sort of teleporter machine. Right? Think about how dramatic that is. Think about what kind of ratings that could get. Think about how they're not even going to mention that, not even in the slightest bit. Every time David Hogg has a fart, all right, he goes up behind a podium to deliver it. All right, David, just for example, David Hogg goes up and lectures mayors of cities across the United States. He lectures them. He goes up in front of universities to lecture people. All right. Meanwhile, he's about as brain dead as they come, and he's equally as unpopular, and nobody cares about him. All right, so that being said, let's go ahead and roll this video. Thank y'all, and I appreciate y'all. Like I said, holler at me about them tips. Man, y'all really know how to get down to the nitty gritty, and I appreciate y'all. I'll holler.
Sometimes the time just slips away, and you're left with this today, left with the memories. I'll always think of you and smile and be happy for the time I had you with me. Though we go separate ways, I won't forget, so don't forget.
Alexa Mendick, and we're the car wash girls. And our phone number is 954 76608.
1-800-CAR-WASH.
1-800-CAR-WASH.
Okay.
And we do everything.
What do you girls charge?
We charge like $50 for only drying, but then plus wetting it for breeze. Yeah, plus for if you want the breeze and if you want washing everything. And also we do then that would be like 150.
Oh my God.
And then we do this, and we also do different kinds of Febreze in your car. So call again. This is vanilla puppy.
I'll always see your face, the corner of your smile, and all the little things no one will ever know. Like it was yesterday, won't ever fade away. Goodbye is just a word I will never say. You will never be forgotten. A million days could pass us by, but what is time but just a dream? Oh, I still feel you here with me. You're more than just a memory. Oh, you will never be forgotten. I can't hold your hand or look into your eyes. When I talk to you, it just echoes in my mind. Lord, if hearts are made of dust, and if we fell from the stars, I'd look up tonight and know just where you are. You will never be forgotten. A million days could pass us by, but what is time but just a dream? Well, I still feel you here with me. You're more than just a memory. Oh, you will never be forgotten. And the world just keeps on going. It has no way of knowing that you're gone. You will never be forgotten. A million days could pass us by, but what is time but just a dream? Well, I still feel you here with me. You're more than just a memory. Oh, you will never be forgotten. Forgotten.
Who are you cheering for? What team?
Meadow.
My old friend, I recall the times we had hanging on my wall. I wouldn't trade them for gold, 'cause they laugh and they cry me, they somehow sanctify me. The woman in the stories I have told and tell again. My old friend, I I apologize for the years that have passed since the last time you and I dusted off those memories of the running and the races, the people and the places. There's always somewhere else I had to be. And time gets thin, my old friend. Don't know why, don't know why, don't know why, don't know why. Songs for you, 'cause a few simple verses was the least that I could do to tell the world that you were here. 'Cause the love and the laughter will live on long after all of the sadness and the tears. We'll meet again, my old friend. Goodbye, goodbye.
My ride or die, my day one. Day one.
My old friend, my old friend. Goodbye, goodbye now.